You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the December 6, 2023 meeting of the LaPorte County Board of Commissioners. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
It's 10 o'clock. We'd like to call the LaPorte County Commissioners meeting to order. This is Wednesday, December 6, 2023. We can all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and I believe we have a...
Madam President, yes, if at the end of the, we remain standing after the pledge for a moment of silence for a student who recently passed, Malachi Ciuta. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Roll call.
Commissioner Grammarosa,
Present.
Commissioner Haney,
Present.
and Commissioner Merzinski.
Present.
All three are present.
Consider agenda. I would just ask that we move to be considerate for one of our attorneys, Guy DiMartino. We can move 11D right after consideration of claims.
11D. I would approve the agenda, making that change.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
As this is going to be our first reading for the Stormwater Ordinance Technical Standards Update for Chapter 7 through 9, I think probably be more appropriate to move it up to right after, if you want to move it up right after public comment. That way, if anybody wants to, if the public wants to comment before the first reading, we can hear from them.
Public comment is going to be quite long, so
Yeah.
if we can call up public comment on anyone who wants to speak about the stormwater right after we present it.
Yeah, we have time constraints with the attorney.
Sure, if you'll allow public comment on stormwater on that ordinance for that section, sure, then I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Consider approval of November 15, 2023 minutes.
Approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Consideration of claims, doing payroll first.
Yes, Commissioners, payroll for the period ending, we have two periods actually, November 17th, 2023, in the amount of $1,498,736.11. And for the period ending 12/1/2023, $1,468,296.65.
I'll move to approve the payroll as presented.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to approve payroll for November 17th and December 1st. All those in favor say aye.
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 Operating expense claims.
I don't think so, no. Operating expense claims for the period are in the amount of $3,317,752.29.
Move to approve the claims as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Now we'll move on to consider stormwater ordinance and technical standards. Do you have a motion to discuss?
He's smiling a little bit.
Okay, so it's my understanding after talking to attorney Guy DiMartino, who has worked with this with attorney Doug Beachy, that we are pretty much modeling from the Purdue manual And that is what has been used from the state. Is that correct?
That is correct. And the old Rule 5 changed to the CSGP, which is the General Stormwater Construction Permit, 2 years ago. And we are required to update our local ordinances to mirror what the state statute is. This was identified as a deficiency in the IDM audit. It's one of the items on our list to correct, and that's why we're here today. Myself, Paul Vicari, Guy DiMartino, Doug Beachy worked on this to get it updated and presented to you today.
Make a motion to approve it on first reading.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Do we have discussion? Do we have anyone from the public that would like to come up and voice their opinion? Do we have anyone on Zoom that has raised their hand to voice their opinion? Seeing no one in person or anyone on Zoom, we'll close the public comment period. We have a motion and a second on the first reading. Do we have to? Microphone.
Yes, I would recommend we do that by roll call and then have a motion if someone would move for it to suspend the rule if you intend on passing on the second reading today. Thank you.
Okay, so we call for a roll call.
Is there a motion to suspend the rules?
Is there a
We can. I'm reading this from Guy DiMartino. It said it's the first reading of the month and the second reading at the second meeting of the month. I don't know if there was a reason for that.
I don't have a preference. We can do first reading today and second reading at the next meeting.
Yep, as long as it's done, members of the commission, as long as it's done by the end of the month, we're good to go. So however you all want to do it, it's your pleasure.
Agreed.
So we just have to be in compliance by the end of the year?
Correct. Right, so if you're gonna do it just in one reading, I think the first motion would be to move to suspend the rule. And then you can go ahead and your second motion would be, if you're gonna do it by title only, to move by title only, and then you would read it twice and then vote on it. So however you all want to do it, whatever your pleasure is.
So the pleasure of the board will be?
If we suspend the rules, we have to have a unanimous vote, correct?
That's correct.
I would make a motion that we suspend the rules and do both readings today. Get it over with. In case China kills us by next meeting.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
No.
Case will die for a
Okay,
lack
then I
of a
guess we'll
second.
do it on first reading. Whatever.
Roll call.
Commissioner Brzezinski,
Aye.
Commissioner Haney,
Aye.
Commissioner Grammerosa,
Aye.
3 ayes.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Gonzalez, I'd make sure that if we can get that on the agenda, since we're up against the end of the year for the next meeting, please.
And just to make the record clear, this was ordinance LaPorte County MS4 Stormwater Management Ordinance version 1.2, December 2023. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving along, we'll go to public comment. We're now open for public comment.
Good morning, Steve Hollifield, 6782 East, 100 South, Mill Creek. Just a couple quick things here. Annexation. I spoke downstate about this, one of these topics, of local reform, a session they had earlier last month. I plan on speaking again about it in February when I go on during session. It's quite apparent, according to Mr. Bohacek's comments on the radio today, he doesn't care how big the city grows or anything else. I know the state statute doesn't allow anybody to speak out against it at the county level to try to stop it, but I'd like for you guys to at least express what you guys think about it. We do have an election coming up. Two of you guys are up for election. It would be nice for the public to know what your stances are. I understand what Mr. Germany wants to do, but I also understand that people live in the county for a specific reason. It's not to go by the city statutes, but by county statutes. So that's the thing I'd like to have you guys address and look for in the future. Another comment I'd like to make, and maybe this isn't the place or time, but there is a large major oak tree in our neighborhood on 500 East, just south of the intersection of 200 South on the west side of the road. This tree is half dead. It is probably 5 feet from the edge of the road. It's on a hill and is leaning into the road. I'd like to have the county highway department take a look at that, please. I think it's a hazard. Plus, if you're coming off of 200 South, you look to the south on 500, you can't see past this tree. So, thank you.
I see
Thank you.
Charity shaking her head, so thanks for bringing that to our attention, Steve. I can hear it.
Public comment.
Thank you. My name is Stephen Nightingale. I live at 998 East, 1000 North, and I have 3 minutes minus 5 seconds to get this done with. And I will say that, as many of you may know, I appeared before the Board of Zoning Appeals on November 21st for a petition to appeal an enforcement official determination. And I got as far as the first of the 10 pages, mostly photographs, which before I could state that the reason I was there was because of rule, directly here, this would be Article 28, Board of Zoning Appeals, Section 2, Powers and Duties of Board of Zoning Appeals, subsections A and C, which says hear and determine appeals from and review any order, requirement, decision, or determination made by the enforcement official or any other official or administrative board charged with the enforcement of this ordinance. I got down to the 4th paragraph of the first page when the chairperson interrupted me to say we do not override a decision made by another individual. We can only override a decision made by our board. In other words, we can only override our own. That is in direct contradiction to the joint zoning ordinance that I just read to you. I do plan to appeal this decision, and I rise to request that I be able to speak to your attorney about the possibility of you joining me in some way, perhaps as amicus, in my appeal of this decision. Period.
Yeah.
Okay, so typically in public comment, we don't make arrangements for anybody. But in this case, if you would like to call our attorney, you're more than welcome to speak to the attorney. When you're mentioning if we would join you, that's not something normally. We have the different departments, and we really appoint people to these departments because we trust in what they're doing. And so there is check and balances where when it goes through those departments, it does come back to the Board of Commissioners, and we would continue to follow that process. But you are more than welcome to work with our attorney and show him what you have.
I thank you very much, and thank you for being able to do this in public.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Public comments. We're still open for public comments.
My name is Pat Meany. I reside at 4078 West Schultz Road. And I felt like the Three Stooges here. You know, we were just right in the front row and we're all going to say something. And I wasn't going to say anything until I talked to Mr. Mrzinski there right before the meeting, but I am. Sorry, honey. So I have been going out to Zeidler Road for well over 20 years now. And I just want the board to know that I remember the days when freezers, refrigerators, garbage, all kinds of stuff was just dumped out there. I can also remember taking brush and trees and so on and so forth out to that facility and riding in mud up to my running boards. Matter of fact, one day my son didn't even believe we'd get out of there again. We'd have to get a big truck to pull us out. But since the county built the building out there, and the employees that are out there taking care of that facility, it's like 1,000 times better. They're very courteous, they're very kind, they're very helpful. As a matter of fact, I bought materials from them now, which I never used to do. I just used to loan it to them. Here's my garbage, you can have it. But I just want to comment that it's a great facility. It's really kind of a positive thing for people who live in the county. I don't know if the city uses it a lot, but I do know tons of county residents use it. So I just want to say to the board, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your kind words.
Clay Turner does a heck of a job then. Yes, he does. Thank you.
Public comment?
Morning.
Randy Beach, 4177 West Schultz Road. I wanted once again to thank the sitting board for joining forces and within your commission and pulling in the other departments to combat the sand reclamation business that has plagued our neighborhood since 2015. We've truly appreciated the peaceful enjoyment of the temporary closure. Our individual homes in the area both have noticed it. All the neighbors have been keeping a keen, watchful eye on the proceedings, and hopefully it'll be final soon. As we are aware, the property owner is making a push at calling the operations a new name. This would be the third calling. The first two brought nothing but profits to the company's owner and expense to the county taxpayers. What I see is they're in their game plans going back to digging and selling CHC sand. I am witnessing your steadfast resistance to letting this happen, and I greatly appreciate that. It's not going unnoticed by any of us. We would welcome a property development. We really would. That would increase the value of my home as whole and the neighborhood as a whole. So far, the county has reduced my home value 30% because of the industrial operations behind my home. One of the rules within the code books I thought was never to reduce another property owner's property value. Well, mine has, the county has given me the 30% off. There are many other in the county that live under the same conditions. It's a matter of time before they start asking for their 30% off. While I do like saving a couple $1,000s here in taxes, when I go to sell my home, I would much rather make a profit from selling it and not a loss. What I'm starting to find troubling is LaPorte County has a few appointed personnel on boards and commissions that are going against the elected and the larger group of citizens and property owners. Why, I do not know. I find it sad the citizens, the elected, the lawyers hired to do the bidding are now needing to combat appointed positions. For what and for whom? I hope that you are, when you're considering appointments for the next year, you keep in mind who is costing the taxpayers money and who is following the codes and guidelines for the positions they were appointed. I have personally been criticized for not wanting businesses in LaPorte County. This is far from true. I don't want an industrialized operation in my backyard. It has been stated I do not want development. This again is so far from true. I welcome it. Again, it would increase the value of my home. On tonight's agenda, I see 11F for Siebert Acres minor subdivision. After reading the minutes from September 2022, I wonder why I never hear this type of questioning happening on the property behind my house. That is the proper way to present a proposed subdivision. I hope you approve the Siebert as presented. Thank you very much for your time. Now, any questions on the 30% that the county has given me? I think it's very important that people know. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Public comment.
Hi, I'm Emily McDuff. I'm from Chicago. I'm with RWE Clean Energy, and we're developing a solar and battery storage project in LaPorte County that'll benefit local landowners as well as the general public through new tax benefits, as well as local construction and operations jobs. I just wanted to say that I look forward to working with all of you as we develop this project.
Thank you. Public comment.
Juanita Haney, 2695 West Joliet Road. A few weeks ago, I spoke about squeaky wheels getting grease. Well, now I'm gonna speak about if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Because, maybe this is a temporary move with registration's office and some other places.
That's an inner.
No, I've got public comment. I'm gonna speak. So maybe it's a temporary
This
move.
is an inner
Or I have
governmental
So
issue.
maybe it's a temporary move because voter, I worked elections, okay? And I know that voters already have mistrust in elections. And having things shuffled from one place to another and the distance is gonna pose a problem. Because people are gonna say, well, you gotta move this here and this there. They work closely. Registration works with the clerk's office very closely. They have to go back and forth. Maybe it's temporary, maybe they're doing something over there. I don't know. It is internal. I don't know. But all I'm saying is I see problems. I see mess. I see that this is going to cause problems for you guys in the future. That's all I'm saying from the outside looking in. Okay? Like, I don't know, maybe you're remodeling the office, you're going to move them back later. I don't know. But all I'm saying is working from that aspect and being in that aspect, working with the public, working with voters. I'm just letting you know ahead of time that's going to pose problems for you guys later. And I'm just letting you know that now.
You're saying firsthand from you working in that department?
From working there, working with voters, talking to voters.
So you work for LaPorte County?
I've worked elections.
Okay.
I've worked mobile voting. I've talked to voters. I know voters they have distrust in elections. Like working mobile voting, they said, is my vote gonna count? Is this thing real? Like stuff like that. I hear what voters say. I'm just saying that could pose a problem later. Like, I know things being over here and people saying, I'm going to have to walk over here. I'm going to have to do this. I'm bringing it forward. I'm letting you know that you may have problems in the future.
Well, I apologize. I didn't know you worked for LaPorte County, so.
Well,
I wish
I'm
you would
sorry
come
that you
under
don't realize
department.
Would you think that your husband would have had to file a
You'd think your
conflict of
husband
interest
would have-
form for
yeah.
that?
not in your county. Thank you.
Public comment. Do we have any other public comment?
HR didn't know anything about that.
I'm Francine Kalita. I live on 4372 North, 675 West, Michigan City, Indiana. In regards, don't know where to begin. I'll start at the beginning. The Great Flood of 22. All that money spent in the courthouse, the annex building, is still not finished. I understand offices had to be moved. What I don't understand, when those offices had to be moved. But when there's offices already in place and you move them, like the surveyor's office, you didn't even put them close to the surveyors. That office can't access their computers or their filing cabinets because it's such a small space. Human resources, that made sense. Voter registration doesn't make sense. It is going to cost a phenomenal amount of money, which we don't have, and we cannot pay our part-time people because we are in the red. You're spending taxpayer money like it's your own. And I also see it as a play of playing politics by moving the voter registration across the street, where it's not secure. And no, we're not special like anybody else, but we also don't walk around with an entourage. What's going to happen when people come to file, they're going to run back and forth. Voters are going to be going, oh, what's going on? This could be voter fraud. What also is going to happen is the amount of people who, the voters, are not going to like it. They're going to complain. And I'm telling you now, when they come to complain to us, I'm sending them to you.
Thank you for your public comment. Public comment?
Good morning, commissioners. Tim Stabos, 1501 Michigan Avenue. I'm taking off fully my auditor hat and putting on my Christmas candlelight tour of historic homes committee member. Coming here to thank you, all three of you, for voting to place the courthouse, our beloved courthouse, on the Christmas candlelight tour of historic homes this past weekend. The last time it was on the tour of historic homes was in 2004, almost 20 years ago. It was a wonderful event. We had well over 800 paid attendees. And after a 3-year COVID hiatus where there was no candlelight tour, it was back in a flourish. It's wonderful visibility for the community. Again, we thank you for stepping forth. I want to especially thank also the maintenance department, Sean Fitzpatrick and everyone there, Clerk Stevens. A lot of hard work by all. And I will note that on the tour and during the tour that I believe we have volunteers and engagement, involvement from Commissioner Grammarosa, Commissioner Haney, Councilman Keel, Prosecutor Fagan. The clerk was there as well. So a good time was had by all. There are leftover tour books. They have the histories of the properties. There's a wonderful history of the courthouse. All three courthouses actually that were once here, written by the late Fernity Schultz, county historian. And if anyone wants a copy of the tour book, I don't see that there's any reason why I can't say that that's available in the auditor's office. There will be over the next, through the end of the year.
Thank you for public hearing.
Thank you.
Public hearing.
Morning, Commissioners. Alan Stevens, Chairman of LaPorte County Republican Party. I'd like to start out first off by voicing my opinion. I think moving voters over to the Hyler building is a horrible idea. But that being said, you guys are going to do what you're going to do. And moving on from there, if voters has to be moved to the Hyler building, it would be nice if you could communicate with the voters registration office. They've been packed up since Friday, supposedly going to move Monday morning. There was no move Monday morning, no move yesterday, and now they're moving them today.
And they're not packed up.
And voters registration applications blowing down Michigan and State Street earlier. Not a good thing, but you know, Connie, could you just communicate with them, please? That's all we're asking. We don't want anybody coming in straight off the sidewalk into their office, and a half door in the hallway isn't going to cut the mustard for conducting business. Nobody walks into the treasurer's office right off the sidewalk. Nobody walks into your office or the auditor's office right off the sidewalk. At least give them the same consideration that the other employees in the Hyler building get. And a little bit of communication goes a long way. Thank you.
Thank you. Public comment. Do we have anyone on Zoom for public comment? We are now closing public comment. Moving on to department head comments.
Morning, Angela Hensman, Co-Director of Voter Registration.
And Kristen Zabel, Co-Director.
We're here today because with the move of voter registration, we were not consulted or collaborated with, and our questions and concerns have not been addressed properly. We are specifically concerned about both the security and the practical issues that this move will cause our office. And yes, we are in the middle of a move right now, but we decided all of our office needed to be here today because we are concerned about the security of elections in LaPorte County, and voters need to know what is happening with our office, and they have a right to know because we are separate from the county for a reason. We are separate, and we are here today to tell you what our concerns are.
Okay, starting with our first concern, the move today, we had voter registrations blowing all over the intersection as they spilt, and we're trying to catch them in the wind. People's information's blowing all around the street. I bet they'd love to hear that.
They would love to hear that, or they are hearing that?
Oh, I'm definitely gonna tell them.
Okay, well, you are.
Okay. And we work, I know we do not work for the clerk's office. I'm aware of that, but we do work hand in hand with them for the election. When we do early voting, there are things that our office does and there are things the clerk's office does, and they go back and forth. So we already have people, we had a 3.5-hour meeting with people that are concerned about security. And now we're going to be taking documents and election materials back and forth from building to building. Our mail is already misdelivered all the time. So now they're really going to be confused. The county has no money, but now everybody that's making all these moves, unnecessary moves, we're going to have to get new business cards, new letterhead, new envelopes, everything. That'll be another expense to the county. And I think the voters are just not going to be happy about having to go back and forth between buildings to file paperwork. And I know a cell phone was an issue. People wanted to bring their cell phones in and should be allowed to bring their cell phone in to register to vote. I want to know one good reason why you need a cell phone to register to vote. If you do, you're registering online, so it doesn't matter anyway. We get maybe 2% of people that walk into our office to register. Everything else is either online, the BMV, the WIC office, they're not, or they mail them in. It's not people just walking in off the street.
And we have practical concerns because not only do we have documentation and mail that goes between offices, but also practically we work with the clerk's office with all of our poll workers. We work with the clerk's office with mobile voting unit, with travel board, with the petitions. They will have to go from our office to the clerk's office. There is a lot of problems with this move, and we don't feel that our concerns were properly addressed. In fact, we were told about this move less than a week before the move was supposed to happen. And when we said we aren't okay with this move, our questions, our concerns were met with deaf ears. Most of the commissioners didn't respond, or they didn't respond in a very kind way. We had very legitimate concerns, and our department knew what we needed more than the commissioners knew what we needed. And I would say that's probably what every single department in that courthouse would tell you. If you have a problem, if you want to move someone, you need to be talking to the department heads. Thank you.
Also, our office is part of Homeland Security. We're supposed to have a higher level of security, not security taken away. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to address some of your concerns. You know, normally this is handled internally, and up until yesterday at 10 o'clock was the first email I received from you. You did speak with Mr. Haney. There were several emails to Mr. Haney. Would you like to comment, or do you have a solution for this problem?
Sure, absolutely. I'd be happy to. So, as you're well aware, over the past couple of months, I've voiced my concerns about moves that you've been unilaterally making here and there, spending tens and tens of thousands of dollars of taxpayer money without any authorization, tens of thousands, without any authorization from the board. Nowhere.
Violations, any felonies, any misdemeanors in that?
I have no idea. Where do you get the authorization to do this? Nowhere in statute does it say it.
Did the commissioners control?
No. One commissioner. The commissioners haven't done that.
I have the support. You know.
Oh, no, please say that again louder. Say it louder for the folks in the back. Say it louder for the folks in the back. Commissioner Merzinski, have you agreed and authorized to this? Any of these moves, have you agreed or authorized to it? Be quiet. I am talking and you are interrupting me. You are a liar, and you are a fraud, and you are acting in a criminal fashion over and over in this county.
For every solution, I have
destroyed everything you touch.
For 1
please
year.
admit to a violation of statute. Commissioner Merzinski, did you authorize or consent to any of these?
Over 10
any of them?
years, we've had a department with a violation. You've been a commissioner for 3 years and you've done nothing to resolve that violation. Absolutely nothing. 3 years you sat in your position.
What violation?
You've done nothing with the violations that we have in the LADS department. And as
multiple times I've talked about moving LADS. Multiple times I was denied last year.
To me.
No, I didn't.
You handed it over to me and told me to take care of the problem. I've taken care of the problem, and now you have a problem with every solution. You couldn't resolve it.
No solution here.
You couldn't resolve it.
Destroy everything you touch.
And now here we are.
So the question stands, Commissioner Merzinski. Did you consent or authorize to any of these moves?
And did you not
please speak into the microphone so we can all hear
it. To go ahead and make these moves when you were the president?
Absolutely not.
Consult with me and have me walk through that office with those girls there. 2 commissioners, Mr. Haney and Commissioner Grammarosa. It is an internal day-to-day activity when we have to move departments. And you did it.
It's not internal. You don't think where voters registration is not a matter of interest to the public?
Well, again, we'll go through that. So here we go.
Excuse me, Madam President. I'm sorry for interrupting. I don't have cut anyone off short, Commissioners. I don't want any legal issues to be spoken about. Okay, this is something. If there's a legal issue, I will address it and go from there. But please do not speak about legal issues.
This is a legal issue with LADS. It had to be done legally.
And you were well aware of it for
I-
3 years.
Not like we got a whole lot of office space to do.
Okay, so when I looked into Porter County,
We would like to
Here we
address
have-
the fact that you did in fact hear from us, because in September, we have an email asking you what was going on, because everyone else in the county seemed to know that voter registration was moving, except for us. And then we asked you what we should do. Should we be considered, because we have to put up a Christmas tree, we're doing file retention. And we asked you then, what do we need to do? You said, proceed as normal. We have reached out. And when we brought up our security issues to you in person, your words specifically, Miss Grammarosa.
you will have the same security that the rest of us have.
But do you think that you're more important than the commissioners?
I did not say that, and I have several department heads and
Oh, I'm sorry,
employees
you
that were
said the
there.
commissioner and the auditor.
Anyone that wants to keep their job is going to agree with you.
All we're saying,
Correct.
this is ridiculous.
Okay, so when
we
you
are the
go,
departments that run this county, and we have a right to tell you how we feel about how you're running this county. And the
so
only
again,
reason we're willing to speak up and no one else is because you don't carry our job in your hands.
Well said.
okay, can I continue?
You can, as long as we can continue to respond, because you keep lying.
In Porter County, the clerk of the courts is located at 16 Lincoln Way, Suite 200. In Porter County, the voter registration office is located at 155 Indiana Avenue.
And in Porter County, they do not have the.
May I continue?
No, they do not have the same structure of voter registration as we do. You
In
wouldn't know that
Elkhart
because you did not
County,
consult
in
us.
Elkhart County, the clerk's office is at 101 Main Street. The voter registration in Elkhart County is at 117 North 2nd Street in Goshen. In South St. Joe County, you have the voter registration office at 227 Jefferson, but you have the clerk's office at 101 South Main.
Correct. And a very important distinction
Back
to make
in
is that all of
2021,
those-
I had gone to a conference
This is
and
what
we
happens.
they had discussed.
Department heads. I am trying to explain to you that all of those counties that you just mentioned are under the clerk's office. We are under the Board of Registration.
So
That
they're
would be
under
us.
the clerk.
You should have come to us about the changes.
Again, show me your evidence. Show me
Evidence
your
of what?
proof.
You mean where you?
Show
broke the
me
IC
where,
code?
show me where, what IC code did I break?
You broke the IC code.
Bring it forward.
That you need to meet the needs of the Board of Voter Registration.
And
we
so
are the
you
ones
need
who
land,
determine
you
what our
need,
needs are.
you need Homeland Security.
No, but we
You need
are part of
Homeland-
Homeland Security.
You are part of the Homeland Security.
Election security.
Okay.
Do you care about the security
So-
of the elections, or are you trying to make problems before the 2024 election?
IC 37,
So
you're asking,
again,
it's IC 3727-3.
okay, so here you go again. We're saying that you're not going to have Homeland Security. You're saying that you're not going to have Homeland Security in the Hyler building.
No, we're saying that you told us that they were gonna walk in off the streets where no one else in that building did they walk in off the street. That was what we were told. You don't even have the treasurer's office or any of the other offices coming in off the streets. Why? Because it's a security problem.
There are only 2 offices that come off the streets.
That also said it's a security problem.
The sheriff, I spoke to the sheriff and the sheriff said that the security that we're providing you in any one of the 3 buildings is,
That is not correct. He was in our.
well, you're calling,
And he also said that we cannot have that outside door open or unlocked for the US Marshal. We are not making this up. But someone here has.
then you should have brought the
has a
sheriff
background
with
of
you.
lying to county.
You should have brought, are you calling me a
Not
liar? Are you calling me a liar? Okay,
I'm calling you a liar right now because you're
You-
lying.
real good.
Commissioner Merzinski's on the security committee. You're aware of that U.S. Marshal's report.
and we reroute it, but again, they wouldn't know because they're talking to you instead of talking to
No,
us.
because you don't
You only-
communicate.
they
We
only-
asked for a meeting yesterday.
And you don't communicate anything to us.
I've communicated multiple times. I've mentioned up here about what's going on. Here's going to be a great way to make sure these shenanigans don't go on again. I make a motion that any office move is approved by the Board of Commissioners and discussed in a public meeting.
That is not how this works. This is an internal issue. You have brought it here because you guys love your salacious headlines.
What's
You
salacious
love the
about this?
salacious headlines, and this is what you do. You think that this is like a campaign for you. And
Your
you
actions
may-
directly contributed to voters' registrations
why-
down Michigan
one of
Avenue.
the reasons why at
Not
one
me.
time voter
them.
registration used to work with the clerk's office so closely is because voter registration has the statewide registration system. That has now been extended to the clerk. And not only does the clerk have it, so does one of her deputies. So you are off the day of the elections. You talk about the confusion. You talk about the county.
4:30 in the morning.
The county is closed. If you guys want to go over there and you want to sit there and you want to do what you need to do, you do it.
Are you?
And you talk
listen,
about the
we work
security when
from
you talk
4:30 in the morning till 8:30 that night.
This has got to stop. You got business to take care of here. That's why we're here, not to hear about your petty little.
Or what kind
There
of
is Brzezinski, there's absolutely nothing petty about what you two clowns have done up here.
Oh, here we
to
go
these
again with the
departments,
name
voters
calling.
registration.
I mean,
The surveyor's office, you've got them shoehorned into an office where they can't even access most of their
so
stuff.
let me ask you,
are
you will
taking
not
out
be
your
asking
vengeance
to
upon
go
all
to the
these different
fairgrounds
departments
this
and
week during the
individuals.
year, right? Because we can't provide you the security or the homeland security for that week when you're in fear, correct?
All we do is take registrations people bring in. We do not do anything online.
You don't take a computer out there.
We have not the last 2 years.
Well, now I'm going to call you guys liars
Okay.
because I've seen you with your computers at the fairground.
We even have
Computer that is attached to the state registration.
Well, you're lying. You're saying you don't, and we.
Higher, because everything that is connected to the state registration system has to have higher security, which you didn't.
So
know
does the
when we
clerk's
sat in the
office have that? Do you know where it's located, ma'am? Do you know where it's located?
What is located?
Where the security is located? Where the security room is located?
For the security room.
Are you under the impression that it's all within the courthouse? Are you
No,
under that
I'm
impression?
not that stupid, thank you.
Okay, where do you think it's at?
I think that it has to do with the IT department and the things that they have to set up for us. But
Right.
what I am saying to you.
So whether we're
you
setting
don't
it
take
up
that out
in
to
the complex or we're setting it up in the Hyler building or we're setting it up in the courthouse, you will have the same security.
Okay, so we're going to have the same locked door and glass that every other office in that
Do
building.
you have glass
Excuse me,
now?
Madam President.
No, but we have security at the front door.
Madam President, I'm very sorry for interrupting.
Yeah,
We have a meeting to get through. Commissioner Haney but I'll address that. Ma'am, Madam President, Commissioner Haney had a motion. We need to address that motion, number one. Number two, Madam President, I'll be more than happy, should the board like me to communicate with voter registration, because in hearing this back and forth, it's a lot to digest. It's hard to digest. I became aware of this to some degree yesterday through some emails. I'll be more than happy to communicate with both parties, because with the back and forth, it just seems like two ships passing in the night. And I'd be more than happy to get to the bottom of it to hopefully calm this down a little bit, because we all want to function well and appropriate within the confines of the law. So thank you. And if we could address Commissioner Haney's motion and move on, I think that'd be the best course of action.
So we are, Mr. Haney would like to bring internal issues to the commissioner meetings and have them voted on and discussed in public settings.
No.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I
So
disagree.
it
with
fails for a
mischaracterization.
lack of a second.
the idea
Moving
that
on.
where voters registration is located is not a matter of public interest, or where the surveyor's office is located is not a matter of public interest is absolutely absurd. I think everybody in this county wants to know what's going on with our elections. And I think we've seen the frustration here from some of our employees. I'm sure there's a lot more that would want to stand up but don't want to get fired. From voters registration to the surveyor's office to adult probation not getting clean for months, you are taking out and exacting retribution in the most pettiest of ways against all these various departments.
And you parading them in here is not retribution?
I didn't ask any of them to be here today.
Okay.
I didn't ask any of them to be here today.
Okay. So moving on, do we have any
The
other
idea that you,
department
Commissioner
heads?
Brzezinski, condone this
Department heads.
and comply and go along with this, I cannot wait to hear from Public Access Council on this issue.
Well, then you better
Go on
bring up
Facebook,
when you
okay.
walked with me through the department that was in violation.
Ignorance is astounding.
It is. It really is. Oh my God, you portray it so well.
Good morning. That's
Morning,
a
Matt.
tough act to follow.
Right. Tell
Important.
us about broadband, please. Let's talk about something.
Talk about broadband. He didn't do nothing for the first 5 months of his presidency. He dismantled.
Nonetheless, thanks for your time this morning. And every issue is always important, and I'm sure it'll be sorted. But I'm here to talk about broadband. There's a program that the county participates in, and again, I say this at every opportunity so that everybody's aware. The grants and the funding that you hear about, you read about, do go to the internet service providers. I just want people to know
Will we
that.
please have quiet in the audience? You're welcome to exit the room so that we can hear the next speaker, please. Thank you.
So that none of the elected officials kind of get a phone call and say, you guys, I read something and you promised and I thought. That's not how it works. I just want everybody to know that. With that being said, we local units have an opportunity and a responsibility to get the best information they can possible about the community. And while it's certainly not the best methods that we have today, through the internet when you don't have internet, and the irony of that is never lost on me, or making phone calls, those were the systems that we have available. There's a bit of newer technology that has been employed by the state in its program called ready.net. There's a modest investment required to get that better information. And I think it would be beneficial to LaPorte County specifically because of the type of county this is. And people may or may not know that this is the second largest land area county in the state. And we have 2 suburban urbanized areas and a lot of rural areas in the county. So the goal with broadband is to, broadband for all. That's the BEAD program. Is it achievable? Yes. Is it impossible? Is it achievable? Yes. Is it difficult? Absolutely. So today I've asked some professionals in that field to join the commissioners meeting for a brief, to use my friend Tony Rodriguez's commentary, discussion about their project, which is the Quantum Corridor. It is a company and a physical asset that would provide quantum computing technology to anyone who wants to tap into it with open access. So the difference, people are like, what is this guy talking about? Any one of your providers, that's not open access. If Commissioner Grammarosa is a company, I can't tap into that. If Joe Haney's a company, they don't tap into each other, and so on and so forth. This provides the open access. This runs along I-90. This is a company and an organization that is partnered with Purdue University, and it fits very nicely with what the Redevelopment Commission has discussed about a data campus and access and connectivity of not only water and sewer at 421 with the university, but also this other very critical and important utility that's broadband. So I'm going to introduce Tom Dockage, Anthony Lazaro, and Ryan Laffler. And as I had mentioned previous, there's some of these concepts and ideas are very difficult for me to wrap my head around. And that's where Ryan Laffler comes in, and he can explain to you how it works and what it works. And I just know that when it works, it works. And I think that's how most of the public feels. But I'm going to turn it over to Tom. come on up here and.
Thank you very much for giving us a few minutes. So my name is Tom Dockage. I've been an attorney for almost 40 years, that sort of thing. And what my practice does and what our jobs are is to deliver broadband to specific areas. And that got a lot easier in the last year because of what I'm going to talk to you about. So as Matt explained, the Quantum Corridor is a super high-tech fiber network that starts in downtown Chicago and goes under the toll road all the way out to the Ohio border. It runs right through the county. What that creates an opportunity because of all the excess broadband that comes in not directly off the Quantum Corridor, but off the additional bandwidth or off the additional fibers that are developed there for something that we want to talk to you about. Anthony Lazaro is a partner in this. He's sitting over there. He's our CFO. Ryan is our CTO, but I'll try to make this brief. There has been substantial movement in the past 15 years to broaden out broadband and make it such that there's a concept broadband for all. That includes in urban places and in rural places. I think that people in the audience and people would understand that hasn't happened, that there are a bunch of unserved and underserved areas. And without getting too technical, just because somebody has a connection to the internet doesn't mean that it's considered to be a useful connection. So in this county, as in all counties, you have kids who have to go to McDonald's in order to use the internet. I mean, those sorts of things are okay. So earlier this year, the Biden administration announced a $43.5 billion program that resulted in something just south of $900 million that is coming to the state of Indiana. It's a lot of money. And it's specifically designed to attack unserved and underserved people in primarily rural and urban areas. So this is $900 million that's going to be stretched out throughout all of Indiana. It is not a cash grab. There's not if we prove more people, we can get more money from the federal government. That's the allocation in Indiana. So every county, every municipality, every person that's sitting in your seat throughout the state is incented to figure out how much of a problem do I have? Is 1% of my population unserved and 2% are underserved, or is it 30%? Is it large? Is there a big group of people, or is there a small group of people? So the federal government put together a program, Broadband for All, and you can go on the internet and you can kind of figure it out, and you can plug in your house, and they will tell you whether or not you're served. So what Ryan did was we took three counties that we kind of think that are important to us, anyways: LaPorte, Porter, and Lake. So in taking a look at those three counties, we started to run some tests, and we found discrepancies. This is an informal survey. We found some discrepancies between what the federal government says is there and what we know is there. This isn't graft. This is just the process of getting this right across the entire country is really big. So they're not going to get it perfect. What we would like to do is make it such that your county and Porter and Lake, eventually, Lake has already agreed to do this, but have the best foot forward to present to the state of Indiana that the problem in LaPorte County is different than what the federal program thinks. It's different in the sense that the federal program says these areas here are underserved, these areas here are underserved, but there's a study that can be done through a company called Ready.net that can be done. It costs about $18,000 to do it. There's a study that could be done that will tell you, according to more technical reasons, the areas of the county that can be underserved and the areas that are not. So what we are eventually going to do, the three of us and a bunch and some other people, we're eventually going to stand in front of you and talk about, we want to attack that using our fiber backbone that we've run through across the state. But the precursor to that is to get the study done that would be accepted by the feds. So I'm not sure what I'm supposed to, yeah, that's the idea. I'm available for questions if you.
I just want to let you let the commissioners know that we're trying to bring more resources to bear to address this issue. I mean, just like the phone calls and people that contacted and reached out, I don't have broadband, or I have bad broadband, or how do I get it? It's a very challenging thing to manage. You got 112 plus or minus 1,000 people that live in the county. More than half's rural. And, we're going to bring opportunities to bear to attack, and like Doc had mentioned, this issue, and utilize not only that, but our street department and where our roads are now, and to try and really use the existing data we have and augment it with better information that we can get. Now, the ready.net thing that Mr. Doc addressed is also being used by the state. So that's telling me, wait a second, the people who are getting the 900 million are accessing this technology. So this is an issue and a project I'd like to hit in 2024. I just thought it'd be valuable for the commissioners to know now, as we're trying to prepare for some actions in 2024, where we're at. Broadband pops up to the top of the list. It's strange in that it's something that you as commissioners can't actually fund or function, but you have to create an atmosphere of collaboration and cooperation with the internet service providers and entities like the Quantum Corridor or the university, and those people that are going to put the asset in the ground and allow people to get it. So that's all I have for today. Thanks.
Matt, real quick, I do have a question for you. What, at this point, I mean, obviously you've gathered the people. Where do we move from here? What can we do on the commission, or how does the county move forward so that we can take that next step? And I also want you to explain, because I think that there was a lot of confusion. This is my first year on the commission, but there was a lot of confusion last year when there was money that came in to our county, and to explain how that money doesn't literally get deposited into LaPorte County government, and then we actually take that money, we filter it out. So if you can just kind of explain how that toboggan happened last year, and then moving forward into this year, if you have an avenue where we can grow LaPorte County, what steps or where do we move from there? I know you have someone that has been working on broadband since July or August. And how do we move this county forward? How, bringing us the people that know how to move us. What do you need from us?
So I'll take the second part first. Like roadways to get done in the county, the state, and Mitch Bishop's been up here a lot, talks to the commissioners about the grants he gets, whether it's community crossings or NERC grants. Those funds actually go to the county, and the county directs where those get spent. The existing program that the state of Indiana has today and the BEAD program are similar in that the money does not go to the government. The money goes to the private sector, and that's your Comcast, AT&Ts of the world, your Quantum Corridor people, and others that have done it. There are very few instances and very few successes that I have seen when the government tries to endeavor into this area. I wouldn't recommend that. I would recommend continuing with and working alongside the private sector. And so that's how the fund flow works. And there were funds dedicated to private sector companies to expand broadband in this particular county, just like other counties. And, that same process will roll out again. And so what the government has asked the private sector is this: where do you have deficiencies in your service? And concurrently, we, the government, realize that there is no business case for you to run it there. Therefore, we, the government, are going to come in and supplement that so that you get to a break-even proposition with that infrastructure to allow you to offer the service to a resident. And that's the flow of the existing next level connections as well as the BEAD program. That's how it would operate. What would be important for the county is this. And I don't even like the word, I mean, we have a challenge period, like we're fighting about this. You know, that's an opportunity for us to provide better information to the FCC. And it may or may not be in partnership with or the same as the internet service providers. I mean, folks, let's be serious about this. These are private sector businesses that have proprietary information, and that's how they operate, and that's great. This program is designed to augment that. So the responsibility of the public is to offer those suggestions as to where focus needs to happen and how much. And that the better information we have, the better opportunity we have to provide challenges. So this would be an item that would be discussed at the upcoming economic development session about a very targeted and important program and assets to continue to develop. So the next step would be to either utilize ready.net or do an RFP or find somebody else who figured out a better algorithm to do that. Now, I know there were previous efforts to do studies, but like anything else related to computers and computing and so on, they just keep getting better. And they are able to identify different programming methods and access the data to help us garner that information in a way that's meaningful, so that we can tell the story to the Fed and we can say, well, we disagree with your maps and we're going to show you where. And what I'll provide the commission for your review, and we'll put it up on our website. The gentleman from the Quantum Corridor provided, they have a little bit of a high-level presentation of the mapping and what not. And I know that everybody's seen these maps, and you know, anybody can tell me you go down County Road, pick one, and there might be 4 or 5 houses, and maybe somebody actually has a satellite, or maybe someone's using the satellite, or somebody has cable. But I think the common theme is underserved or unserved, underserved and unserved. So that's the next step. We'll address that. We'll put that out and make sure that we get the best assistance. I mean, the government's, the program's interesting, but it's incumbent upon the local units to take that initiative and provide that information and to get it in front of them. We're going to work with these service providers and to allow people to have the opportunity to get better service. We can't do it all, but that's where we'd be.
So number one, you need us to put out some kind of bid process for our.
Yeah, I mean, what I would bring to the commission is a scope that identifies what we're looking for.
Okay.
I mean, it's pretty hard to get around ready.net. I'm like, okay, this makes a lot of sense. But if there's an interest in somebody else taking a whack at this, we're certainly looking to be happy to look at any of that information. Like I said, the goal is to get for the county to be as well informed as the service providers, because we're the impetus for the funding.
Right.
So it's geography, not specific. It's specific geographies, but again, we want to be as informed as the internet service providers, and that's what we do. That we'd hit that in 2024. The committee's still established. We're still involved with the state programming. So this is an issue that we'll take up at the RDC meeting in next week.
And then if you need our assistance, you'll swing back.
Correct. I'll come back through and request the commissioners submit something for your consideration.
Thank you for the
Good
update.
presentation, I think, and Mr. Dockich also. The time we've talked, I'm really starting to understand what's going on here, and I understand the need for the study you're talking about to find out where we need to go. Because we don't want somebody coming back later and go, well, you gave them internet, but you didn't give me. And we need to.
Let me say it even worse than that. That's going to happen. And the question is did you do everything you could to make it such that you minimize the number of people who are saying, it's.
Even though we're not in charge of it.
Right, you're not in charge, but you
just
don't
take
get
the
the money, but people are going to blame you.
We'll just take the money.
Yeah, so you can say, look, we did the study.
We're used to that.
We're used to getting blamed for things other people do. It's okay. But thanks for your presentation. I know the last time I talked to you, it really started to sink in. This time between you and Matt, this is big. Big.
Your I mean, I'm going to speak as an outsider, but your county is just growing like crazy. I'm one of the guys who's the owners, I guess, or developer, whatever, of the solar project, and that's just, I mean, there's just so much money coming into your county. It's crazy. So get your broadband, you know, I mean, and make certain that the areas that are not served have a shot. Thank you.
When this is done, you're going to be more famous than your brother. I'm telling you.
I don't, what are you talking about? Nobody knows him.
Department heads. Do we have any more department heads?
Rhonda Graves, Chief Deputy Auditor. If you'll allow me, I wanted to speak on behalf of our office because I was at the council meeting last time. I'm representing our office in the absence of Auditor Stabos. I wanted to read a letter that I wrote in regards to a bid and a bill that was paid. If you're familiar with the letter, you're going to see that I've changed it a little bit because it's not about names. So I'm going to take out all the names that were in it. More to explain our office and the process. And funny enough, the segue was good. The accusations that were given that weren't ours. But I wrote, the bill for a demolition service was brought up at the council meeting last night. This was written the next day. During the meeting, someone had mentioned our office had received the bill and rejected it for some reason. I promised that I would double check the reason for this, as it's my goal to make sure our office is always in compliance, and today I'm able to share my findings with you. We checked our system to confirm there are no purchase orders entered whatsoever for the said demolition service. I then verbally confirmed with the commissioner's office, excuse me, that no claims had ever been submitted to our office because there weren't any funds available to pay. Hence the request for the additional appropriation at that meeting. We are bound by the state for how we can pay claims. If claims aren't submitted to us, we cannot pay them. Our office can't pay claims that are written on accounts with no funds in them. We can't expedite claims simply because someone wants a vendor to be paid sooner. I did include an ordinance from 2001 in the email, excuse me, that gives us direction on what we can pay expedited. I also included information that at a recent auditors conference, excuse me, we did learn that there's a way to pay for advanced purchase orders, which could come in handy when you have bids. So something to look at. But obviously it goes to the council, the commissioners, and then our pay claim dates, which don't guarantee that we pay them by that date, but once they're turned in by specific dates, it guarantees when we handle them once they're audited. So if there's any questions, feel free to let us know, but we did not have that to pay at that time.
So we did have the roadblock that we didn't have anything in that fund. There were verbal conversations back and forth about trying to get that bill paid. That was the September bill, and we didn't pay it until December 1st, 2nd, 1st.
Right after we got it. Yeah. Okay. And right after it was appropriated. Absolutely. We paid it very fast. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. And thanks for getting it to us.
Any other department heads? Do we have any department heads on Zoom?
Just a quick note for our department. People walk into my office sometimes every day unannounced. They just walk in. And usually they have an issue they want to bring to the commissioner's attention, which is good. So I wanted to give a shout out. There was a lady come in my office a couple of weeks ago, Joanne Haversack. I know you're watching, and she brought to my attention a situation we had in the kitchen in the jail, and I wanted to let Mrs. Haversack know we've addressed that. It's taken care of. But thank you for bringing that to our attention. And anybody else that has issues that they want to bring up with the commissioners, just come on up and walk in. You're fine. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to requests. We have a request for consider 60 sick days paid to Harlan Wiltfung, who is retiring in Highway Department.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Consider favorable approval for Winchester's ACE renewal through John Jones of Michiana Insurance.
Madam President, Honorable Commissioners, John Jones, Michiana Insurance. Renewal is tomorrow, actually, for our storage tank liability policy, also known as an environmental policy or a pollution policy. I did send out requests for quotes, proposals, received two. Our incumbent, Westchester ACE, was $405 in our favor over the Argo proposal that I received. We're up $933 over last year's rate. However, that's not a rate increase. We added two above ground heated oil storage tanks at both the Hannah and main branch LaPorte Highway Department to this proposal. So the two quotes were apples, but last year's to this year's increase was not an apples for apples. It was the addition of $933 for two additional 2,500 gallon oil tanks that are used to mix with asphalt to pave roads.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have a discussion? I would just like to bring up, you're saying that this is due tomorrow.
It renews tonight at midnight, yes.
And are there any payments involved in this?
No, there'll be an invoice forthcoming after that in coverage tonight.
Okay. All those,
Gladly pay you tomorrow for the coverage.
Yeah, it's $3,475 total for 6 tanks.
I have a motion to approve.
we have a motion to approve and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. Good job.
We have no old business. And then moving on to new business. Consider the 2024 holiday calendar.
To approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Consider 2024 Board of Commissioners meeting dates.
To approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Consider favorable recommendation to rezone from B3 to M2 in Cool Spring Township. Amber March will present.
You have a copy of this?
Yes. Nice picture.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good
Chris
morning.
Gaduski, Avid Marsh, 315 West Jefferson Boulevard, South Bend, 46601. And with me today is Isaac Hall, the petitioner and developer from Great Lakes Capital. This is a rezoning for a manufacturing spec building between 375 and 400, west of 600, or west of 900 west, at the very south end of Michigan City, but an unincorporated area. As you can see by the drawing, I think that was important to show that it was a very aesthetically pleasing building. So yes, that is a commercial area out there, but this building will fit in just fine. Utilities are going to be present on the site, aiming to look at meeting all LaPorte County development standards. So the Plan Commission gave this a favorable recommendation. There was one person present at the meeting. I guess he was in remonstrance, but really he just had a question about his property values. Now he was immediately northeast of this proposed development. And I would just like to say that a development like this would definitely increase the property values in that area. And so I'll let Isaac speak about maybe the type of businesses and so forth, what are in there. But do you have any questions for me at the moment?
I don't, but if this has been through BZA and Plan. I'm
Just
good.
Plan Commission for rezoning.
They do all the hard work. We just say, yeah.
And it was approved.
Yeah, I would make a motion to approve it.
Okay, do we have to do this via ordinance?
Yes, we do have an ordinance.
Did you want to give a presentation or did you want to?
Sure, absolutely. I can speak a little bit to the development. Isaac Hall, 7410 Aspect Drive in Granger, Indiana, representing Great Lakes Capital. This would be a speculative development with two buildings. The northern building would be more of a smaller user, a contractor, a small warehouse user to utilize that space. And the second building would be a larger big box space for more of a logistics or light manufacturing use. We've done 15 plus of these developments across the Midwest. We're happy to answer any questions you have about it.
What's the pleasure of the commission?
I make a motion, we approve this on, do we need to do 2 readings on this, or can we do them both at the same time? Your call. Suspend the rule and pass it on 2 readings today, by title only, ordinance to rezone certain real estate under the zoning ordinance of LaPorte County, Indiana, 2023 whatever. My motion to approve it on first reading.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second.
We need that approved to suspend the rules first.
Pass first and then.
Okay, first reading.
So we have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Then I would motion to suspend the rules and have a second reading today by title only, ordinance to rezone certain real estate under the zoning ordinance of LaPorte County, Indiana. Motion to suspend the rules for the second reading.
So we have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call.
Commissioner Merzinski.
Aye.
Commissioner Haney.
Aye.
Commissioner Grammarosa.
Aye.
3 ayes.
Motion to approve on second reading then.
So we have
By
a
title only, ordinance to rezone certain real estate under the zoning ordinance of LaPorte County, Indiana. I gotta memorize now.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call.
Commissioner Haney.
Aye.
Commissioner Merzinski.
Aye.
Commissioner Grammarosa.
Aye.
3 ayes.
Now,
Thank-
thank you.
Thank you.
For your time. It's things we need in the county for sure.
Thank you. So we've taken care of the stormwater ordinance, and we're moving on to consider 2024 contract renewals for building maintenance. These are the same building maintenance contracts that we have year to year, correct?
We are changing Corson, our fire protection service this year. We had communication services this year.
And so
that's the only change we have.
You send it out to bid,
Yes, we did.
and you are going with the lower bid?
Actually, Corson is $1,800 higher than communication company.
Okay, and so why did you make that choice?
Well, we made that choice because their response time is far better than communication company. And communication company has more upcharges that they say don't cover in the contract.
So in the long run, it is cheaper.
It is cheaper, yes.
Okay, can I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Consider favorable recommendation for proposal of Siebert Acres subdivision.
Morning, Commissioners. Tony Hendricks, Charles Henderson Associates, Engineering Princeton Crane, PC, 512 Lincoln. This is Matt Garatano with us. This is a minor subdivision that was approved by the Plan Commission in October 2022, asking for secondary approval for plating and recording. These lots are typical lots, 40,000. These are 50,000 square foot lots. They all have septics. No new roads, no new storm sewers, no new infrastructure for the county. It's on Schultz Road, 1.2 acre lots, very large lots in the county.
So again, I wasn't on the commission, but it's my understanding that this was approved in 2022.
Yes, and it was held off the commissioner's agenda by past commissioners and past attorney Shaw Friedman for reasons of the D&M lawsuit.
Okay.
I believe I was on the Plan Commission when we did this. I like this subdivision. This is the kind of subdivision that we need. This is nice. I like this.
Yeah,
Bigger lots.
This subdivision was approved in 2007 with 3 times as many lots, and they broke it down so it's 1.2 acre lots. So these are very expensive homes.
I would make a motion to approve this today.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 We will leave the plat with Diane so you can have signatures.
Thank you.
Thank you. Like to entertain a motion to adjourn?
To adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.